Okay, now that we know that Saber's noble phantasm is called Excalibur, it should be pretty clear what her real identity is. Right? The rooftop is silent. The wind is gone and nothing makes a sound. I can't approach Saber and I just stand there. I don't know if I'm still confused or if my heart is still captivated by that sword. My mind is acting strange and only insignificant things come in my head. Why does she have that sword? That golden sword is the property of the well-known King of Knights. I try to think how she ended up with the sword, and I notice that I'm trying to avoid the simplest of the answers. There's no need for complicated guesses. That sword has always been hers. That's why her true name is easy to figure out. I don't know what kind of mistake was made, but there's only one person she can be if she has that holy sword. Saber does not move from the stance that completed her blow. I should run up to her, but my body won't move. Up to now, I only understood in words that Saber was a heroic spirit. Perhaps I realized that she was a hero of the past, something different from me, and I hesitated to go near her. I hear a scream. Something is burning in the background. Who's there? I look in that direction. There I see a book burning into ashes and... Shinji is there, watching the burning book. So he was here after all.
Shinji!
He must have realized that Ryder is defeated and he's at a disadvantage. Shinji turns his back to me as if to flee and runs towards the exit. Shinji jumps through the door leading to the stairs.
Shinji!
I can't let him go now. But the instant I start to follow him, out of the corner of my eye, Saber collapses. My mind freezes. Shinji is running away and Saber is on the ground. Okay, should we follow Shinji or run to Saber? I don't think Saber will die from just that. And didn't Kid say something like, even if a master loses his servant, he could just summon a new one as long as he has command spells? Or something like that, if I remember correctly. Yeah, let's follow Shinji. Shinji comes first. If Saber defeated Ryder, I have to catch Shinji and have him relinquish his status as a master. High-pitched footsteps echo in the dark. Mato Shinji flees through the dark hallways. Rolling down the stairs, crashing into the wall, crawling on the ground, Mato Shinji heads for ground level. In his mind, the image of the light that slashed Ryder will not fade. Exactly as he says that noble phantasm is an abnormal existence. The holy sword that appears divine to its allies looks like a devil's creation from an opposing viewpoint. So he runs through the darkness. That light will come if he stops. He will vanish without a trace if he turns around. There is no time to pause. He puts more weight on his life than on the fact that he has lost his servant or the fact that he isn't a master anymore. Or he isn't a master anymore? Then there is no need to run after him. God damn it. But those were Mato Shinji's orders, not to kill them quickly. Ignoring Ryder's advice that they should kill them with one blow if they used the noble phantasm, he chose to corner Saber. Another tumble. Even though he's almost out of his darkness, he hits a huge wall. He punches it in anger. An unlikely sound is made. Mato Shinji looks at what he thought was a wall and at his arm bent up like a puzzle ring and even forgets to scream because of fear.
ダメよ。
Ilya,
マキリのウジ虫さん。歯医者には逃げ道なんてないんだから。
what's she doing here? Laughter fills the air. In the tense darkness, the silver hair of a white girl appears. And of course, Berserker's here too. The moment of recognition. The instant he realizes what's in front of him, Mato Shinji is terminated. I run through the dark hallway. I can't see, but I'm able to follow Shinji, because there are no other sounds. Shinji's footsteps echo through the hallway, so it's easy to follow him.
足音が途絶えた。
It's a sudden change. The sound I was hearing was nearby, and there is still some distance to the elevator. As far as I remember, there's no reason for Shinji to stop in the middle of the hallway.
シンジ
I walk quietly and advance with caution. I see the change quickly. The spot where Shinji's footsteps died. In the hallway that was empty on my way to the rooftop, there is a red puddle. My mind freezes. Before I can think about what happened here, my body reacts. I can't be here. My senses trained by Saber are telling me to go back to the rooftop as fast as possible if I value my life.
すまん、遅くなった。大丈夫か、セイバー。
Controlling my nausea, I run towards Saber. Saber doesn't look well at all. She has sweat on her brow and her breathing is weak and irregular as if she has a fever.
そんな、おい、セイバー。何が、どうしたって言うんだ。
I call out to her timidly, but she doesn't answer. She's unconscious.
セイバー。
I touch her forehead. I automatically pull my hands back. It's unusually hot. If this is a fever, she's over 40 degrees.
セイバー、おい、しっかりしろ。
Even when I call out to her, her only reply is heavy breathing. I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know, but I'm sure we can't just stay here like this.
うちに連れて行くからな。文句があるなら後にしてくれ。
I pick Saber up. She's light. She was light before, but she's lighter now. No, more than that, she's...
熱い。ちゃんと生きてる。
Saber is still Saber. I'm angry at myself for hesitating. Damn it, so what if she's a hero? No matter who Saber is, she's here right now and she's warm. How stupid of me to think there's a wall between us in spite of that.
すぐに帰るからな。それまでおとなしくしてろよ、セイバー。
I run still holding Saber in my arms. There is no feeling of victory. All I feel is Saber in my arms, breathing painfully.
終わったわよ。和室に寝かせてきたけど、あの分じゃしばらく目を覚まさないでしょうね。
そうか。遠坂がいてくれて助かった。俺じゃあ、セイバーの手当てなんてできないからな。
まあ、鎧を脱がせて楽にさせただけだから、お礼を言われるほどじゃないわ。セイバーの体も良くならないし、私は何もしてないもの。
But still, having Tosaka around helped. She was the one that yelled at me when I came home in a panic about what to do. She worked out Saber's situation and advised me to take her armor off and let her sleep. It's been an hour since then. Somehow communicating with the unconscious Saber, Tosaka took her armor off.
それで何があったの？シンジを探しに行って帰ってきたと思ったらセイバーがあれでしょ？一波乱あったのはわかるけど説明してくれないかしら？
I hesitate. Saber's noble phantasm. I should avoid revealing her true name. It's not something I can reveal by my judgment alone.
ライダーを倒した。シンジはレイジを失ってリタイアしたよ。ただ、その時にセイバーが宝具を使ってその後に倒れたんだ。
セイバーの宝具ね。
Tosaka falls into meaningful silence. She's Tosaka, so she should be able to tell that it was no ordinary matter.
まあ、追求するのは勘弁してあげるわ。今のあなたたちはそれどころじゃないものね。
それどころじゃないってどういうことだ？
言葉通りの意味よ。あなただってうすうすは気づいているんでしょ。このままじゃセイバーが消えるってことぐらい。
What? Call me. Tosaka mentions the result I have avoided thinking about.
消えるって、セイバーが消えるっていうのか、お前は。
当然でしょ。セイバーの魔力はほとんど空っぽなのよ。セイバーの宝具がどんなものだったかは知らないけど、よっぽど魔力を使うものだったんでしょうね。
Is there a way to restore it?
セイバーは自分の中の魔力をほぼ消費してしまった。今彼女が苦しんでいるのはね、消えようとしている自分を必死に留めているからよ。
魔力がないから消える？セイバーは傷を負ってもいないのに消えるっていうのか？
ええ、サーバントにとっては外的ダメージより魔力切れの方が深刻な問題よ。霊体であるサーバントに肉体を与えているのは魔力だもの。それがなくなれば消えるしかない。もっともそんなことにならないようにマスターはサーバントに魔力を送るんだけど、あなたはそれができないでしょ。だからセイバーは自分の魔力だけで戦うしかない。切れたらそれまでよ。こんなこと一番初めに説明したでしょ。
That's certainly what Saber told me.
けど今までは大丈夫だったじゃないか。セイバーだって眠っていれば持ち直すって。
それはセイバーの魔力量が桁外れだったからよ。そうね、確かにセイバーの魔力はまだ残ってる。彼女ならまだ消えずに肉体を保つぐらいの魔力は回復できるとは思うけど、結局はそこ止まりよ。セイバーはずっと今の状態で戦うことになる。宝具を使うなんてもってのほか。次に宝具を使えばセイバーは間違いなく消え去るでしょうね。
次に宝具を使えば消える。
No, first of all, I can't let her fight in this state. I don't want to see her slumped over in pain again.
理解できた？結局セイバーを以前の状態に戻す方法は2つだけよ。
Oh?
マスターがサーバントに魔力を提供するか、サーバントが自分で魔力を補充するか。
To have a servant collect magic energy herself. That would mean killing innocent people like Ryder did.
まさかセイバーはそんなことはしない。セイバー自身がそんなことはしないと言ったんだ。
でしょうね。一般人を犠牲にするぐらいならセイバーは潔く消えるでしょう。なら方法は一つだけよ。セイバーを消したくないのならあなたが魔力を提供するしかないわ。
But how is he supposed to do that?
それはできるならとっくにそうしてるさ。けど俺は魔力を提供する方法なんて知らない。あいにく遠坂みたいに何でもできるってわけじゃないんだ。
まあね、共有の魔術を教えてあげても間に合わない。シローは魔術師に向いてないから覚えるのに1年ぐらいかかるだろうし、覚えたところで使えないわ。まあ召喚時にセイバーとパスは通っているはずだから、まだ他に方法があるかもしれないけど。
Other measures? Tosaka ponders, but it's only for a moment. Tosaka looks at me with an expression suppressing her emotions.
いい？セイバーを助けたいのなら彼女自身に人を吸わせて魂を食べさせるしかない。それはあなたにも分かってると思うけど。
That's the most realistic measure. What that means.
もちろんセイバーは嫌がるでしょう。けど放っておけば遅かれ早かれセイバーは消えて、あなたは他のマスターから狙われることになる。
Saber will disappear. I can't even imagine such a thing. I still feel her body heat in my hands which were carrying her.
なら答えは一つよ。霊樹を使いなさい、エミヤ君。それで最悪の事態は避けられる。
That means ordering Saber to kill innocent people. I can't say anything. I resent what Tosaka is saying, but at the same time, another part of me recognizes that this is the only solution.
決断はあなたに任せるわ。セイバーは眠らせておけば落ち着くだろうけど、それでも限界は近いでしょうね。
Tosaka leaves the living room. I can't even look up. I can only listen to Tosaka's departing footsteps. Dragon Slay? Arturia. The girl who had just finished her rite of passage would be known by that name from that day on. It was a time of chaos and war. It began with the demise of an empire. An empire believed to be indestructible was only awaiting its destruction at the hands of invading barbarians. To prepare for the war against these barbarians, the empire deprived this island country of any military forces. That was the beginning. Once a country lost the empire's protection, it could not escape becoming independent, and it broke into smaller countries in no time. The barbarian invasions. Self-destructive strife between clans. A long period of war that would later be called the Dark Ages. She was born into this period as the heir to the throne. It was a long period of chaos. The king believed the Magus' prophecy and yearned for the birth of his appointed successor. But the child that was born was not the one the king desired. The child was not a boy. Even if the child was fated to become a king, he could not make a child that was not a boy his successor. The girl was entrusted to the king's vassals and was raised as a child of a mere knight. The king fell into despair, but the Magus was delighted. The sex of the one who would become king had never mattered. He was confident that the fact of the girl being separated from the castle until the day of the prophecy was proof that she would become king. The girl grew up as the successor under the simple and wise old knight. The old knight did not really believe the Magus' prophecy. He just felt the same air from the girl as he did from his king, so he felt that he must raise her as a knight, and he wished her to grow. But the knight did not even have to wish for such a thing, as the girl trained day after day to become stronger than anyone. If only a king can save a ruined country headed for death. The girl swore to bear a sword for that reason alone, without ever being told so. So the day of the prophecy arrived. Knights and lords from around the country gathered to be selected as the king. Every one of them expected the selection to be through jousting if the most superior one was to become a king. But the only thing prepared at the place of selection was a naked sword stuck in a stone. On the hilt of the sword was a golden inscription. Whosoever pulleth out the sword of the stone is rightwise king born of England. Many knights grabbed the sword, following that command. But no one was able to pull the sword out, and the knights began to expect a method of selection by jousting. As the girl was only an apprentice, she was not qualified to joust. The girl neared to the deserted stone of selection and reached out for the sword without hesitation. When she turned around, before her was the most feared magus in the country. The magus said that she would no longer be human once she took a hold of the sword. The girl only responded with a nod. Becoming a king means no longer being human. She was prepared for that ever since she was born. In short, a king is someone who kills everyone to protect everyone. The young girl thought about it every night and shuddered until morning came. No day passed that she did not fear that fact, but the girl said that it would end this day. The sword was pulled out as if it were only natural to do so, and the place was filled with light. In that instant, she became something not human. The king's gender does not matter. No one will care about the king's appearance or even notice it if the king acts like a king. Even if anybody noticed that the king was female, there would be no problem if she was a good king. Perhaps because of the sword's magic, the girl's growth stopped at that time as well. Many knights feared it as ominous, but most of them praised the master's immortality as divine. And thus, the time of the king who would become a legend started. The battles of the new king were indeed the acts of a god of war. The king always led from the front. No enemies could stand in her way. Arturia, the god of war. There was no defeat for a body admired as a dragon in human form. For 10 years and 12 battles, she knew only victory. Those were the days she ran through as a king. She never turned back and was never disgraced. She was raised as the king and fulfilled her obligations as the king. Is that why I saw such a figure? Her soul must still be on the battlefield. Before daybreak, resting her body in the wind under the indigo blue sky, she just gazes into the distance. The sky is high and the clouds are flowing fast. Under the clear air she is looking at the great army she must face with her sword in hand. That figure is burned in and will not go away. She and her sword are one. The sword from the stone that shows the king. I think the brilliance of the sword that selected her fate is also her brilliance. But I wonder in the dream. That sword is different from the one she had. It is similar, but different. The one she used last night is different from this sword. So, how did she lose such a fine sword? When I wake up, I'm in my room. It's light outside. I guess I fell asleep after coming back to my room, unable to make a decision. It was a strange dream. Events I should know about, things I don't know about Saber. Is it possible for me to dream about them? I vaguely think. Saber's true identity that was hidden. To be honest, I still can't accept who she is. Saber is just Saber. I can't change my attitude just because I know who she was before, and I don't think Saber would want that either. The sword from yesterday suited her, but the sword in my dream also suited her. No, you could say I was fascinated. With yesterday's sword and the sword in my dream, it seems I fall for swords easily. I also thought Lance's lance was beautiful when I saw it, but my interest in swords is exceptional. It seems Emiyashiro is easily attracted to swords. I take a deep breath and reach up to my sweaty face. I wipe the sweat off my forehead. Even though it's winter, my body is burning. It feels like my blood is getting hotter and I feel restless. My body has been strangely hot. The hand that bears the command spell is hot as if it's holding a pocket heater. I take a deep breath to try to calm myself. Saber has not woken up even once since last night, but it still seems she's getting better. Her breathing is calm now and there's no sign she is gasping in pain. Saber is sleeping peacefully. This is an everyday morning scene. If I let her sleep like this, she might get back to normal. Then there'll be no need to have her kill people. Then, just like now, Saber will be with me and... I hit the wall. I'm so weak it makes me sick. I get up, trying not to make a sound. I don't know when Saber will wake up, but I have to make a decision before she does. Tosaka must still be asleep. There is no energy in the house and it feels like it's abandoned. No, I'm just depressed. I can't decide, so I'm wandering around in a grey state, and that causes the world to be vague. I hear something cut through the air. I remember that sound. Yeah. I don't feel like cooking breakfast right now, so I'll take a walk and check it out. It's much colder than usual outside. It must be really cold if my burning body feels it. It's so cold that it might snow. The sound is coming periodically. I cross the yard, breathing out white puffs. He's there in front of the shed. I guess I kind of knew he would be here, so I wasn't surprised. He must have been shooting arrows until now. He lowers his bow in displeasure as soon as he sees me.
そうだな。人んちの庭で弓なんて引くな。矢が当たったらどうするつもりだ。
どうするつもりもない。もとより矢など使っていないのだ。いていないものが当たる道理はなかろう。
He doesn't need to tell me that. The sound was Archer's bow string cutting through the air. I don't know why, but Archer isn't using any arrows, but only pulling his bow.
いい弓だな。今まで納得いかなかったけど、お前本当にアーチャーだったんだ。
さて、私はお前が知っている弓使いとは違うからな。弓道など聞かれても答えられんぞ。お前たちの弓は己に当てる射であり、私のは敵に当てる矢だ。お前の言うアーチャーというのは礼節を重んじる者のことだろう。
He curls his lips offensively. As I thought, I can't get along with him.
誰もお前に弓のことを聞こうだなんて思ってないよ。ただ、何をしているか気になっただけだ。
見ての通り、調子を測っているのだが、セイバーにつけられた傷も癒えた。いつまでも見張り役というわけにもいくまい。
I see. He's healed now, then that means Tosaka should return to the war. I turn away. Since Tosaka and Archer are rejoining the battle, I must make a decision. I have to think seriously somewhere I can be alone.
斬新という言葉があるな。
え？
ことを済ませた後に保つ間のことだ。私の弓術とお前の弓道で。
なんだよ。お前なんかに八節を解かれる覚えはないぞ。
まあ聞け。矢を放った後、体は自然と場に止まるという。それを斬新というそうだな。
Certainly, there are 8 movements in archery called the 8 stages of shooting. The last one, the follow-through, is the state that comes after shooting an arrow, but...
ああ、それがどうしたって言うんだ。
心構えの話だ。斬新とは己の行為。放った矢が的中するかを確かめるものではない。矢とは放つ前にすでに的中しているものだ。射手は自らのイメージ通りに指を離す。ならば当たるか当たらぬかなど確認する必要はない。射の前に当たらぬと思えば当たらぬし、当たると思えば当たっているのだから。
そんなことあるか。どんなに当たるって思っても当たらない射はある。思うだけで当たるって言うんなら誰だって百発百中だ。
そうかな。少なくともお前は百発百中だろ。
His statement makes my heart jump. That's certainly...
まあ、そんな話はどうでもいい。言いたいことは一つだけだ。斬新とは矢が当たるかどうかを見極めるものではない。放った矢がどのような結果になるかなど分かりきったことだからな。ならば斬新とはその結果を受け入れるための心構えではなかったか。
分かってる。要するに最後まで見届けろって言いたいんだろう、お前は。
そういうことだ。セイバーのことは聞いた。彼女がこのような状態になるのは初めから分かっていたことだろう。魔力の提供もなしで戦っていればいつかは消える。それはもう決まっていたことだ。ならば
All that's left is to accept the result. Is he saying that no matter what happens to Saber because of my decision, all I can do is see through what happens? I turn my back to Archer. I will leave this guy once and for all.
あ、それともう一つ。気がついていないようだから教えておこう。
I hear a voice behind me.
セイバーはな、 宝具を使えば自分が消えると分かっていたはずだ。彼女はおそらく最後まで宝具を使う気はなかったのだろ
う。The usual offensive tone isn't present in his voice.
にもかかわらず宝具を使った理由は一つ。セイバーは自身が消えることよりお前を守ることを選んだのだ。それを決して忘れるな。
His voice holds only honest sincerity. The park is empty as usual. So I guess I will end the episode here for today, but before I do that, let's have a look at the status and the weapon screen, because it was just updated. I guess we have new information about Saber. Specifically, the details. So she is Arturia, which is basically King Arthur. The once and future King, England's legendary hero, King Arthur. He is a hero well known as the model for knights, but it is said that he actually did exist. The real King Arthur was called Dux Buderum, the King of Battles, and he was a great leader who led the 12 kings of northern England, Gododin, against foreign invasions by such people as the Picts and the Scottish. The identity of the real great leader, King Arthur, has many variations, and there is even an opinion that there were two people that correspond to the king. One was a pure Briton, Arthur, the other was a Roman, Arturius. This opinion states that the legend of King Arthur that is known today is one story, merged from the accomplishments of these two. The legend of King Arthur is all too famous. The exceptional Magus Merlin prepared a sword and said, "Whoso pulleth out the sword of this stone is rightwise king of all England." When Arthur pulled out the sword, he was recognized as the king of England, and with the knights of the Round Table gathered around him, he went through many adventures. Arthur was the child of the king of Britain, other Pendragon, and the wife of his servant Duke Cornwall, the blue-eyed Igraine. As a prize for Merlin's assistance in ensuring the success of his love for Igraine, he had to leave their child in Merlin's care. I will probably guide this child, one bearing a great destiny, and protect him from the crisis of the royal family. Merlin entrusted Arthur to Arthur's loyal knight, Sir Ector, and Arthur was raised as his adopted child until the day he pulled out the chosen sword. The days of battle and troubles that followed after he pulled out the sword and became king became a great story of medieval knighthood. The great deeds of King Arthur ruling over Camelot as the great king of knights and saving England by leading many great men are all one could ask from a hero. Arthur's all-too-famous sword, the holy sword Excalibur, was not the chosen sword. Rather, it was the treasured sword of fairyland given to him by the Lady of the Lake under Merlin's guidance after he lost the chosen sword. After giving King Arthur the holy sword Excalibur, the fairy princess of the lake, Vivian, became his guardian. King Arthur's lifelong enemy, Princess Morgana, was in existence opposed to Arthur's guardian, Vivian, but Morgana herself was also a fairy of the lake that protects the king. King Arthur ordered the Knights of the Round Table to search for the Holy Grail. In the King Arthur legend, the search for the Holy Grail comprised the core episodes in the story of the Knights of the Round Table, but only 3 knights were commanded to search, and King Arthur himself did not go on the journey. Of the 3 knights, the perfect knight Lancelot did not make it to the Holy Grail due to his unfaithful flirting, and his son Galahad did obtain the Holy Grail but abandoned it due to his lack of greed. The end of the legend was marked by King Arthur's death. Arthur's life had been sought many times by the Princess Morgana, his older sister by a different father. At the end of the battle between him and the knight Mordred, born from Princess Morgana's scheme, his legend closes its curtain. King Arthur's fall started when his most trusted knight Lancelot disappeared, after becoming ashamed about his affair with Arthur's wife Guinevere. Guinevere, losing his trusted knight, losing the sheath of the holy sword, and even losing his own country while on a long expedition, King Arthur faced his last battle in the land of Camlan. The holy sword Excalibur was entrusted to Sir Bedivere on King Arthur's deathbed, and he returned it to the Lady of the Lake. King Arthur's corpse was carried by the ladies of the lake to Avalon, the land where heroes sleep. A legend is handed down that King Arthur will awaken from his sleep in Avalon when England is in peril, so that he can save his homeland. Arthur bears the red dragon that symbolizes the British people, and he himself has the attributes of the dragon. Since he has the karma of the dragon, the embodiment of divine mystery, and the transcendent, he has strong magical qualities. On the other hand, he is weak against heroes who have defeated dragons in the past. Anything else new? New skills? I guess not. But we have a new noble phantasm here. Or not. Oh, here it is. Excalibur, Sword of Promised Victory. Sword of Light. It is not a weapon made by man, but a divine weapon forged by the planet. It is a noble phantasm that is the greatest of holy swords. It transforms the possessor's magic energy into light, increases its kinetic energy by converging and accelerating it, and allows for usage of sorcery on the level of divine spirits. To an observer, it looks like a giant beam of light, but its target point is the tip. It is the ultimate slash that cuts through everything in the area the light goes through. Its enormous power heats space around the tip, and as a result it is interpreted as a wave of light that moves across the earth. You could also call it a directed energy weapon. Let's have another look at Ryder's noble phantasm. Here, Bellerophon, reigns of the heroic cavalry. All abilities increase by rank when in use. AC plus 100 will also be in effect. It is a physical attack that destroys the target by controlling a divine beast and using its powerful charge. Supposedly, the maximum speed is 400 or 500 kilometers per hour. It is a noble phantasm of the highest level in both attack and defense, as defense also increases while in use due to Pegasus' divine protection. Bellerophon is the name of the young man in Greek mythology who supposedly managed to ride Pegasus. Okay then, the weapons. Golden Sword of Assured Victory, Caliburn. Caliburn, a holy sword that symbolizes England's King of Knights, King Arthur. It is the symbol of a king pulled out from a chosen stone under the guidance of Magus Merlin. It is a different sword from the one granted by the Fairy of the Lake, and its characteristics as a noble phantasm differ, but it seems Saber is more attached to this holy sword. Since a sword is a symbol of power, a sword carried by a king usually ends up being degraded to the status of an ornament covered by decorations. This is the biggest difference between Excalibur and Caliburn. In exchange for being a beautiful sword, its effectiveness as a weapon does not match that of Excalibur. In the legend, it is said that it broke when King Arthur fought in a battle, going against the principles of chivalry. Okay then, that's really it for this episode. So as always, thanks for watching, and until next time, bye bye.